Well, boxing tonight. We are joined with Andy. Andy, good evening.
How are we doing? You all right?
Yeah, Sam, thank you. Ray's on the sidelines for a week, but he will be back as soon as possible. So just me and Andy tonight, and whoever decides to jump on as we go through. So let's jump straight into it. So obviously, Andy, we're no longer live show virgins, having been to Carl Greaves' show Saturday night in Leicester. So we thought it was only right, didn't we, Andy? We have a quick talk about the show and what our experience was like. So I'll let you go first.
Oh, great show! I absolutely loved every second of it. Thanks very much to Carl for having us over. It was brilliant. Yeah, I loved every minute.
So obviously there was some quite big guests in attendance, weren't they, Andy? So obviously Dave Allen was in attendance. Lee Wood. So I think for me the best fight of the night was the final fight, one to A-Wood.
Magic,
yeah. A-Wood and Fearon for the Super Welter Midlands area title.
Yeah, it was a real close fight as well, backwards and forwards. A-Wood was getting in front, then Alex Fearon got on top again. They were both landing some great shots. Absolutely brilliant. Both of them got really good chins. Both of them got proper arts like lions. Real good. These two are going to be something to watch in the future. Fearon was obviously devastated at the end. He thought he'd done enough. I think both. I think I could talk for you, and when I say this, both me and you thought A would have took it.
Yeah.
Before it was read out. But to be honest with you, it could have been seen differently. Let's give a quick shout out to the ref as well. It was anyone that was there will know this. It was quite a tasty atmosphere. A-Wood being a Leicester lad and Fearon being a Derby lad. As you can imagine, they've both got sets of fans there, and the fans were impeccable, I might add. Because then, in them sort of situations, it can very easily boil over. But the fans were brilliant all night long. Behaved impeccably. Fearon's fans took it on the chin when the result was read out. But they were fantastic. The fans were brilliant all night long. Not just for that fight, but for some of the others as well. But yeah, what a magic fight. I'd like to see it again, if I'm honest.
Yeah, a couple of shout outs for me. Like you've said, Carl Greaves running around like a blue-ass fly all night.
Yeah.
How he does it, I don't know. Because he was in the corner for quite a few fights as well, wasn't there? Promoting the show, managing the show. So, and also, obviously, Carl, top bloke. And then Brad Dawes, Nottingham's own, coming through his fight. Start of things to come for Brad. But I thought the card overall was very good, wasn't it?
It was.
It was a great advertisement for small all shows.
The fights were very well matched as well. If you looked at the scores for a lot of the fights, they were quite one-sided. But even though they were one-sided, each round was close. Each round were close rounds. People weren't getting battered.
No.
Sometimes you see one-sided fights, and the aggressors got all of the fight, all of the round, and the other one's just trying to hold on, and that wasn't the case in these fights. These are the guys that were in there, and some of these fighters, by the way, took fights on short notice.
Yeah.
I mean, Carl made it clear on social media that he'd had a couple of fighters pull out, and he was running around doing his nut trying to get replacements in, and these fighters came in and gave it their all, considering some of them were short notice. Fantastic, mate. Shout out for Stanley Stannard as well.
Yeah.
What's his following like?
Manic.
Absolutely crazy. That guy's going places. He's got real power. Obviously, he was getting et up because the crowd were crazy for him, and he was taking that in a little bit. That will settle down. You know, he's not had many fights, and that comes with a bit of experience, don't it? But fighting, I mean, he must. And let's not forget, that's the first card Carl Greaves has put on since lockdown.
Yeah, remember though, Andy, at Stanyard's opponent, Carl took some shots.
Yeah, he did. I tell you what, he had a right chin. Didn't it?
He did.
Yeah, great card all round, mate. I absolutely loved it. I can't wait till we get to the next one, which will be.
Yeah, so we're going down to your call, October the 8th, for a card down in London. So more news of that to come on the channel. But watch this space. And there's also another potential live show we're going to November. But again, I don't want to disclose too much yet.
So just for people that haven't or don't go to small shows, because you probably think, oh, it's poor level boxing.
50 quid.
Believe me, it's not. Get yourself down there. You'll enjoy the cards are fantastic, and it really is worth the money. Absolutely. When the next card's on, local to you, you know, we have them all over the Midlands. Get yourself down, support local boxing, because this is the future of our sport. Without these fighters coming through, there'll be no more boxing. Without these, you know, the likes of Carl Greaves and other local promoters and other local trainers and managers, without them doing their bit and putting the effort in to put these shows on, there'll be no future in boxing.
Yeah, I mean, you've got your Steve Goodwins of this world, haven't you? Dennis Hobson, who work the backsides off to bring these shows, you know, often on very tight margins as well. So we all need to get behind it.
You know, some of these shows only break even.
Yeah. Yeah, so all in all, job well done by Carl Greaves, and what an advertisement for small halls.
Yeah, brilliant.
So jumping on to the next topic then, Andy. So this has been bubbling away throughout the week now, hasn't it? Where it seems to be dropping announcements and then new signings as we go. So obviously Wasserman and Sauerlands have made quite a few announcements. I think it's a very shrewd move if you think about the UK market.
Yeah, it is.
But I'll let you break it down first. So what are your thoughts?
Like you say, mate, it's very shrewd. The timing's impeccable, really. Calistan's not daft.
No.
You know, and he's picking people at the right time. Some of them he's getting, and they've maybe come off a loss and they've got something to prove. But I mean, Kelly's one of them. It's really good. And what this is going to do, mate, is it's going to give some different boxing for people to choose. They're not just Sky. They're not just stuck with his own. And for me, I mentioned this to you in the week. There's a question here as to whether Matchroom are losing a bit of the grip on the British market. You know, boxers come into Sky, Wasserman's coming, and Eddie Hearn's losing some of his fighters because, I mean, I don't know this for fact, but this is my opinion. These fighters don't want to be sat around waiting.
Well, that Wasserman, I've been doing a bit of reading on them. They're the biggest sports agency in the world. So,
there, aren't they?
Yeah. So to quote Sauerland, they've invested quite heavily into the boxing market. So the pressure's on with Sauerland a little bit. And whereas previously, this is just my view, previously they've been a bit more pan-European, haven't they? So the Latvian fighters, the Croatian fighters.
Yep.
Now they're very shrewd because they got like the likes of Ergovic linked in with DAZN, and they seem quite happy with that partnership. is Eubank Jr. strong enough to be the leading light for Sky? Possibly at the minute, but maybe not going forward. But they're well in with Sky, so they're well in with that broadcaster. So I think they could become big players. I really do. You know, because Eddie Hearn's got a challenge, hasn't he? We've said this all the way along. To keep them marquee fighters up there is a big, big challenge.
Well, he's obviously not keeping some of them up, is he?
No.
Savannah Marshall, for example. Hughie Fury.
Yeah.
Now, Peter Fury's been there, done it, seen it all, got the T-shirt. He's not daft, mate. And he's going to do everything that's right for his fighters. And he can see what the Sky platform is going to do for them fighters, because previously Hughie and Savannah weren't headliners.
No.
But they're going to be now. They're going to be headlining shows. You know, Savannah's wanted this Clarissa Shields fight for well over a year. And it's been promised to her, and nothing's been done.
Well, she got on record today as saying it's 99% done.
I was just about to say that. All of a sudden, she signs this deal with Sky and Boxer, and the deal's virtually done. So what does that say about where she was before and what their focus might be? I mean, questions have got to be asked, because that's for me, that's the biggest fight in women's boxing, bar none.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I've gone on record on this show as saying I didn't think it'd ever happen because I didn't think Clarissa Shields had got the guts. You know, she's going off and fighting MMA fights here, there, and everywhere. You know, making a few dodging Savannah Marshall, really. Or it seemed that way from the outside. But maybe there wasn't enough effort made from Savannah's previous promoters.
Like I said before, and I just think Clarissa Shields had that figure in mind. You hit that figure, I'll fight.
Maybe. Or maybe it just wasn't pushed enough. I feel that and you know how much I like Eddie Hearn's promotions. You know how much I rate what he's done for British boxing. I think he's got too many balls in the air, mate.
Yeah. And
he's trying to juggle away, and he's not focusing on certain fighters, and he's not focusing on certain fighters' careers. I mean, we've said it on the show about Liam Smith. Is a prime example. Dillian White's another prime example.
Yeah.
Our Dillian White hasn't got a world title shot, or they haven't gone to some court to make it happen when it's been so long at the number one spot. Beggars belief.
Yeah, I mean, I don't need to tell Eddie Hearn how to run his business, but I think we've been spoilt in the UK over the last 10, 15 years with the quality of the fights.
Yeah.
But one concern is that if Eddie Hearn takes his eye off the ball regarding the UK market, which is a very affluent boxing market, someone's going to come in and take it away from him.
And a very loyal boxing market. Let's
very loyal. We're not used to getting up at 3 or 4 in the morning anymore, are we?
No, and fighters and boxing fans won't do that on a regular basis. You know, it's nice to do it once in a while for a dream fight. It's nice to do it once in a while when you got
Fury.
Fury or the likes. But you don't want to be doing that on a regular basis.
No.
And I know they've tailored so far to the British market, but they won't do that forever, because that's affected their stance in the American market. You know, we've had Rick Glazer on the show, and he's given his opinion of what the Americans think of how DAZN and Matchroom USA have done over there.
Well, let's have it right, Andy. In terms of DAZN, he said they're all sick of watching European cards.
Yeah.
And they're sick of watching UK cards in Eddie's back garden.
And they're sick of watching cards in the middle of the day.
Middle of the afternoon.
Because they've tried to tailor it to the British market, which means it's middle of the afternoon in America, and they don't want to sit and watch boxing at that time of the day. So it's got to change. The goalposts have got to change at some point. And I can see him taking his stars to America and having them on American cards at American times at some point or another. It's a very difficult balance for Eddie Hearn, to be honest. So Boxer and Wasserman getting back to Wasserman, they've come in at the right time.
Yeah.
You know, they're picking up either fighters that are just out of contract or fighters that have had enough of sitting around doing nothing, maybe being promised certain things that aren't happening. Again, this is just my opinion. It's just hearsay. I have no proof of anything, but quite clearly, fighters you don't leave Eddie Hearn and the millions that DAZN are backing him with if you're not sick and tired of it. You know, they can see the market for on Sky and the UK fan base. They can see that that's the way for him to go, and all of a sudden there's been a shining light, and they're allowed to breathe a little bit and spread the wings. You know, instead of being sat on mid cards, on an Earn show, a Matchroom show, they're getting the chance now to be a bit of a shining light.
All I would say to you, Junior, he ain't going to get away with it fights much longer than British.
No, the fans won't have it. The fans won't have it. I mean, if you listen to Callis Ireland, he's saying that the Billy Joe Saunders fight definitely happens. I heard a bit of an interview with Billy Joe Saunders. Didn't see it all, but I wasn't getting the impression from him that it was definitely happening. I think he's quite enjoying doing what he's doing at the minute and chilling with his kids. So I think it's going to take quite a few pound notes for that to happen, if I'm honest.
Yeah. Well, it's about the Triple G fight, isn't it?
Well, Eubanks got to... At the end of the day, mate, he's in his 30s now. He's not a spring chicken anymore. He's got to stick his neck out now and get his feet wet and show people what he says he can do.
I would.
My personal opinion is I haven't seen that. I haven't seen this world level fighter.
Andy, would you play the Triple G versus Eubanks? That would.
Say that again. Sorry.
Would you pay pay-per-view price for Eubank Jr. versus Triple G?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would. Although I think Eubanks limited in his boxing skills. He's one tough character, and he'll go all day long, mate, until he can't go anymore. You know, these fighters say, "Oh, I'm prepared to die in the ring" and all that bollocks. When he says something like that, I kind of believe what he's saying, because he just don't quit, does he?
No.
You know, he's got an engine. He's got an engine like no other fighter. He trains 365 days of the year. He's never off weight. He walks around at his fighting weight. He's kind of there. I just hope that working with Roy Jones for as long as he has brings another dimension to his game. But we'll
there's a rumor they may split.
Oh, really?
Rumor. Yeah.
Rumors to where he might have gone?
No.
That's interesting.
And then you got a couple more fighters who are in very strange positions at the minute. Josh Keller and Nathan Gorman. Nathan Gorman could be built. He could be built.
Nathan Gorman's one of these fighters that he's a prime example of being a big promoter and other fighters getting the limelight. And he's kind of been pushed to one side, and he's like second thought And I agree with you. I think he's better than being a second thought.
Mm.
Yeah, he lost to Dubois, and but he's never really been pushed into that limelight again since.
I'm worried about his motivation.
Thing is, though, mate, must be difficult to stay motivated if you don't think your promoter's doing anything for you.
Yeah. But he should have been motivated with Dubois, shouldn't he? Because that was a crossroad fight.
Yeah, that was a very strange fight. I was expecting more from him. I thought he'd really test Dubois, and it didn't seem to be that way at all.
And
Could
then
have had a bad night, you never know.
And then you got Arlen Eubank, who's 27 years old, and he's only had 11 pro fights.
Mad. Kelly's a strange one, though. I mean, he clearly thinks he's got a better chance of pushing his career going where he's gone. I'm guessing he must have been. He's got to have been promised certain things, certain fights, world title shots, whatever you want to call it.
Because what was on the table for him?
Well, this is what I'm saying. You know, for him to leave, because he would have still been seen as a bit of a golden boy, even though he's lost. They would have built him back up, I'm sure, because he's got that air about him. He got found out, didn't he? Let's have it right. He got found out, and he's got tested a little bit, and I don't know, maybe he didn't want it. Well, he's gone back to the drawing board, clearly. Time's going to tell, mate. Time's going to tell. But he clearly thinks he's going to get better fights, better promoted where he's going. Because why would you leave what you were doing? Why would you leave Matchroom and the backing they've got without having some sort of guarantees from?
Well, probably because what we've said on there about him not getting no exposure and he's well down the pecking order. But
that's his own doing. He's a fighter where losing has caused that, nothing else. It's not a case of it's not a case of he's out of sight and out of mind. He was getting the exposure. He was the golden boy.
But he hasn't since getting beat to Evanesian, has he? Because but before the Evanesian fight, they were looking past Evanesian. Yeah, what I'm saying is Bobby sat down with his manager and they've gone, well, Matchroom clearly now we're not a priority in Matchroom. We've slipped down the pecking order. We don't quite know what Eddie's going to offer us. Then you've got Blaston there saying, come with us. We'll get you on the Sky platform. So that's my fault.
Yeah, you might be right. It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see how it all balances out on Sky.
Yeah, because it's quite easy with John Kelly, isn't it? Take him to the northeast.
Well, it's going to sell out arenas, isn't it? Yeah. It's going to sell out arenas, and that will look great on tele. But they need to be very careful because they pushed Lewis Ritson too quickly and look what happened.
Yeah.
They need to allow him to build his confidence back up. He'll have some gimme fights, mate. There's no two ways about that. Because he's got like I say, he's got to build his confidence back. Because that got shot to bits. Evan Easton took it away from him. When he thought he was going to cruise that fight, he thought he was going to walk through Evan Easton. Clearly wasn't the case. And he must have come out of that fight rock bottom thinking, well, what do I do now?
He wasn't exactly the biggest puncher that way, so he just stepped up a way. It's a concern, isn't it?
Yeah. And he showed, I mean, whether he's struggling at the weight or not, he showed that he can't keep fighters off for 12 rounds when you move up them levels. It's great looking. It's good looking great against British level, a journeyman and poor European standard level fighters. But as soon as you get in there with somebody that knows what he's doing, it isn't gonna let you off the hook. Knows how to close a ring off.
Yep.
Knows when to jump on you at the right time. That's exactly what Evanesian did. What a brilliant game plan that was. We've said it before from Colgreaves. What a great game plan.
They knew it was coming, didn't they? The Evanesian camp.
Yeah, they did.
They tried to get him into the ring.
They said it straight away. They said it in the conferences. Anyone that had listened, Neil Marsh was singing from the rooftops about what they were going to do. They weren't hiding the fact.
No.
So there is a little bit, really, a little bit of a this is how you beat Keller. Yeah. But Kelly's got to come out and show another side to him now. He's got to show a bit of grit. So that's going to be interesting. Yeah, there's some great moves there, mate. And I think it's all good for boxing. It's all good for boxing in Britain. It's all good for fighters going abroad. It just gives a balance. We still don't know either what's happening with Joshua. He's got no guarantees.
No.
He's probably being respectful. If he has decided he's going to DAZN, he's probably being very respectful to Sky because let's have it right, they've made him.
Quite interesting though that the rest of the world TV rights for his fight are on DAZN.
Yeah. But yeah, it is.
Take from that what you will.
Yeah, it is interesting. But he's made no guarantees to anybody yet. So, I mean, that's the big card, isn't it, for Matchroom and for DAZN for the UK. He's the big card. If that didn't go their way, then I'd say they were in a bit of trouble.
Is there enough money left in the coffers though? Because you're already paying Canelo.
Well,
Triple G. It goes on and on.
This is the problem when it's not a pay-per-view platform.
Yep.
Have they got the subscribers that they need to be able to afford Joshua full-time?
Interesting. So let's move on then. So Wasserman, I think we agree. Interesting move. Few question marks, but I think we have to watch his space.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be good. It's going to be good to see what goes off. Absolutely.
So the next one is announced yesterday is Dell Boy versus Parker 2 on December the 18th. I'll let you start. I'll give him, this isn't going to take me long.
Why? Do you really want to see that fight again?
No, and Dell Boy's just signed with Joshua's management company, Anta, which is quite interesting. But in a word, no. Do I see any difference in how it's going to pan out? No. It'll be the same sort of fight. If anything, I think Parker will knock him out early this time.
I just don't see the point, mate. Doesn't interest me one little bit, this fight.
Yeah,
it's been done in the first time. I can't see it being any better the second time.
It's a strange one from Joe Parker. I thought he'd be looking towards a Joe Joyce.
You know what, though? This shows me a little bit of lack of ambition from Parker. If Parker wants to move up the pecking order, if he really thinks he's got a chance at another world title shot, why would you take this fight?
Yeah. You'd go for a Dillian White or Joe Joyce, wouldn't you?
Yeah. You got to, haven't you? You've got to roll the dice as Parker. You've got to roll the dice, and you've got to take on somebody that's high up in the rankings.
Yeah, I don't mean this is any disrespect to Del Boy, but he could go and fight a Joyce and a Dillian White, and if he gets beat, that Del Boy fight's still there.
Yeah.
So it's a strange one for me.
Yeah, it's a bit of a win-win, isn't it, really, for Parker? If he goes in against, let's say, Dillian White. Dillian White's regarded as as the tier below Joshua and
Yeah.
Fury. You know, and he's taken on everyone that's been put in front of him at that level and dealt with them. So if he goes in against Dillian White, makes another, you know, for a second time, makes another good show of it. Because let's have it right, that first fight was close.
Yeah. I know. I think Parker won, but it was close.
And he did nearly stop White. You know,
Yeah.
so if he goes in against him again, he's not losing. If he loses the fight again, that's not dropping him down the pecking order any more than he's at the minute.
No.
But if stranger things have happened with Dell Boy,
Oh, if he catches him.
if Dell Boy catches him and knocks him out, that's Parker done. Where does he go from there?
Will there be a third one?
And that definitely won't sell no tickets. No one's going to want to watch it 3 times.
So allegedly it's going to be Manchester Arena, obviously the week before Christmas. I'm not sure what it does numbers wise, I'll be honest.
Not a lot.
Let's hope they put a good undercard on.
Well, they're going to have to, mate. They're going to have to.
So
They're going to have to put a world title on the undercard.
yeah, I don't think they'll put a world title on. They might put, yeah, we'll see.
They're going to have to, mate. They need something to sell the fight.
Yeah, we'll see.
Because that's not an headlining fight, in my opinion, mate.
Yeah, they won't. I doubt there'll be a world title, but let's see what the undercard looks like, and they'll start announcing next couple of weeks. So, next topic, we'll skip on from that quickly to the other end of the spectrum. And that's Porter versus Crawford, November the 20th. Now, I'm sure you'll agree, it's about time. It's about time that Crawford jumped in with someone, you know, who's at least going to give him a competitive fight. But I'll let you go first.
Well, Porter's definitely going to give him that. He's very durable and better than people give him credit for. You know, he's there or thereabouts. Everybody wants to see the Spence fight. That might happen down the line. But Crawford, it's about time Crawford showed against a world-level operator what he's actually got. My opinion is he shines in this fight. And I think he stops Porter late on. And that's a big statement because Porter's a grafter. But I think Crawford shines and he shows the world exactly what he's about. This should be the big light moment for the world because he's not promoted properly. He doesn't self-promote very well. But he should be because he's that good.
Yeah.
But what a great fight! What a great fight, and great, you know, great on the two of them for making it happen. I hope Spencer's sat watching it and thinking, yeah, I need some of that.
Yeah. I mean, I'd prefer Porter to win if I'm honest with you, for the state of the division. But
Prefer Porter to win.
For the division, I don't think he will. But you know, to open up a little bit more that welterweight division,
Right.
I think it would, because at the minute it's all locked down into it with promotional issues. And I like Porter. I like him. You know, he's a come forward fighter, isn't he? He'll take one to give one. I think Crawford wins on points, but he ain't going to get it all his own way in this fight, is it?
No, he's not. But his class will show through, mate.
Yeah, I just think that older division in America frustrates me because it should be the golden division of boxing, and it's everything that's wrong about boxing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and the promoters need to hang their heads in shame a little bit here, because they ought to be pushing these fighters and say, look, here's your chance to be great. Yeah. Here's your opportunity to be a new Hagler, a new Hearns, a new Duran, a new Leonard. Those guys are remembered because of they fought each other. Because they weren't scared to go in, they weren't scared to lose. They weren't scared to lose that O.
Yeah. And what rings true in my mind whenever I think about that division is what Diaz says to us, Roberto Diaz, in our first interview. If two fighters want to fight, nobody can stop them getting in the ring.
Yeah.
If you've not watched that video, it's in the playlist. But yeah, he made it clear into that, you know, people talk about promoters stopping fights, TV broadcasters stopping fights, and he said load of rubbish. If the two fighters want to fight each other badly enough, they're the bosses, you know. So time slipping by for some of these fighters now. They're into it in that division. You know, they've talked and talked and talked. If they're not careful, you know, and boxing fans don't forget, do they? Look at Khan versus Brook. We don't forget.
Look at
Many examples in there.
yeah, there is. Pacquiao Mayweather.
Too late.
Way too late. And in my opinion, Mayweather won't be forgiven for that neither.
Yeah.
He's made some decisions that aren't going to look good in years and years to come. He won't be held, in my opinion, mate. He won't be held as high up as the four kings or Ali, Frazier, and Foreman.
Yeah.
Because they all went in against each other in their prime.
Yeah. So, good fight. Back in the year promises to be a good one, doesn't it?
For boxing to stay alive, mate. For boxing to grow and to be around for the next 40 or 50 years at the level it's at, these fights have to happen.
Agree.
Joshua Fury has to happen.
Yeah.
You know, they all need to look at
Canelo.
Josh Taylor. They all need to look at Josh Taylor and go, he wants to get.
And Canelo, arguably,
Canelo.
He jumps in with anyone, doesn't he?
He'll go in with anyone. You know, he'll clear the division, and then he'll probably step up and have a pop at the next division as well.
I think Taylor fights Crawford, I do, after he gets his mandatory out of the way.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, they're with the same promotion outfit, aren't they? So, yeah, it could happen. It could happen. I tell you what, Taylor won't be scared to take that fight.
I think that's got next summer all over it. Stadium fight, UK or US, you know. But I think he's got next summer vote all over it. If you think about the timing.
Crawford will fancy that fight as well. He'll think Taylor's too small.
Yeah.
But Taylor won't be scared to take that fight, not one little bit.
Big money fight, isn't it? Big money fight.
It's a legendary fight, isn't it? For both of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, they've both been undisputed in that division. Crawford's moved up. Taylor's likely to move up. And, yeah, it has to happen. These big fights have to happen. Spence Crawford's got to happen.
Yep. Okay, moving on from Porter Crawford, but I am looking forward to that fight. Your mate Dillian White, obviously announced against Watling, October 30th. I've told you what I think about this fight. I think this is a potential slip-up fight for Dillian White. I've said it on the show many times, and you'll back me up, Andy, that I feared for Dillian White with these sort of fights. Obviously, motivational wise, I'm sure he's in the gym working hard, but it's that extra 5% into it from having an elite fighter in front of you. Someone who, I'm not going to say he thinks he can walk through him, but subconsciously, will he work quite as hard in the gym?
Dillian White does. I like Dillian White a lot. I've got a lot of respect for the fact that he's kept his head up when he's been dealt the shittiest hand in boxing.
Yes.
And he's had to keep his name up there, so he's took on anybody and everybody. And beat him all. He had that slip up against Povetkin, but that's been avenged now. My concern with this fight is that he don't get up properly for it. My concern is that like you've just said, he doesn't train as hard as he would if it was a Joshua or if it was a Fury or if it was an Andy Ruiz. Because I don't think he'll have the fear factor.
I mean, I think this is a nonsense fight for White from a strategic standpoint.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Makes no sense. I mean, okay, if you was promoting him, knowing that he isn't going to get a shot at the WBC, it's not going to happen because Fury's come out on an interview and said he's named the next 5 fights.
Yeah.
He wants, obviously, the trilogy with Wilder. He then wants 2 fights with Joshua. Oh, so no, that's not right, actually. He does want the White fight. He reckons he'll fight White in December. I don't know whether he's saying that because he knows that White's now signed this fight, so it can't happen.
Nonsense, isn't it?
Nonsense. He's come out and he says, I'm gonna deal with Wilder, and then in December I'm gonna beat White to shut him up.
Whenever he fought that close to another fight, October then December.
October, December, and then he wants Joshua in March, and then he wants Joshua in summer, and then he wants Dell Boy.
What did you want with Dell Boy?
I don't know, mate. I don't know. It makes no sense. Makes no sense. And like you say, he's never fought that many fights in close proximity to each other. I think the White one's a throwaway comment. I think he's playing with White a little bit. White's never going to get that shot, mate. Whether he's said it or not, he's just not going to get that shot. I mean, if you was promoting him knowing that he's not going to get that WBC shot, what would you do with him?
I'd take him down different governing body.
So I was going to say the same thing. So what I would do is I'd target the number 1 or number 2 in another governing body and take that fight. So an Andy Ruiz or Charles Martin. I looked at the rankings earlier on. Charles Martin's sat on number 1 in one of the rankings.
Mm.
What he's done to deserve that, I'll never know.
No.
Yeah, but they're the people you got to look at, and then you got to make that good. But the thing is that if he's only going to be able to be allowed to do that if he drops that strap.
I'd get rid of that strap. What's it even mean?
That interim's doing him no good.
No.
He's held it for as long as he's held it, and what's it got him?
Yeah.
You know, just get rid of it. Just drop it, and then, like I say, go down another route, because he would get a shot if he went down the IBF or the.
He must be up there within them governing bodies, you know, because he's on an unbeaten run, isn't it?
The problem is because he's holding a belt, he's not in the rankings at all.
Yeah.
So he's got to drop that, and then as soon as he drops it, he would be high up. He's got to be. He's got to be.
Yeah, I would sack that off.
He don't seem to make a lot of sense. I don't know what it's doing for him. I mean, the only person that can answer that is him. I mean, he must still think that he's in with a shot at the WBC. He's probably thinking now that he's waited this long. You know that he's got to sit and wait with it. That's maybe his thought. You don't know what is being told by his promoter.
No.
By his promoters.
No.
It's a travesty, really, for him. He deserves a world title shot.
Yeah, I don't argue with that. I like I said to you, I don't think he's good enough. But that's a different argument. He deserves his shot.
Yeah, he does.
However, I really don't understand how Deontay Wilder forced that rematch with Tyson Fury, yet Dillian White has sat there for however long he's sat there as a mandatory, and he can't force that through the legal courts.
Well, this is going back to something I said a bit earlier, mate, and that's certain promoters prioritising certain fighters.
Mm.
You know, if a promoter doesn't want another one of his fighters at the same weight to get into a position where down the line he'd be fighting his number one fighter, I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Then he's not going to push for that.
I never thought I'd say this, but he may have been better served going with Frank Warren down the WBO route.
Well,
I think he would have got
wanted him as well, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he would have got a world title shot by now with Frank.
Yeah.
You know, and there is more and more voices in boxing, isn't there, about Warren again versus her, and a lot. You know, people are starting to side with Warren a little bit now.
Yeah, he definitely. I mean, you know my opinions on the standard of cards between the two.
Yeah,
it's night and day in my opinion. But what Frank Warren has over Eddie Hearn is he has a lot of friends in boxing, in higher circles, that are going to give him helping hand here and there. You know, he's probably got favours owed. You know how these things work. You scratch my back with this fighter. Oh, have you got someone to fight this fighter and I'll do you a favour in the future? He's got a lot of that with a lot of high-end promoters from other places. And Eddie Hearn don't have that. He's a single shooter. He thinks, fuck him.
Yeah, I mean, all I would say is, and I won't name names, but we've had people on this show who have been very complimentary about Frank Warren.
Yeah, we have.
How many have we had on who've been complimentary about Eddie Hearn in the same way?
None.
I mean, they don't slate Eddie Hearn, but there's not that, you know, there's not that as many compliments paid, is there?
No, I think a lot of it is Eddie's personality. He's very out there, and he's a very good self promoter. Whereas Warren lets the fighting do the talking in a way.
Yeah.
You know, he's still in there with the Fury camp. You know, he's Fury's British promoter, and he's always there whenever there's any media to be done in this country. That kind of stuff, and the link that he's got with.
And I'll be honest, Andy, where we thought he wasn't that heavily involved in Fury's day to day, we got put right, didn't we? Really?
Yeah, we did, because he clearly is. You know, and he's clearly thought very highly of by Fury as well.
Yeah.
For him to still be in that position. Yeah, I think you're right. I think if White had gone there, he would have definitely got either a world title shot or he'd be knocking on the door by now. He'd be in Usyk's position, I think.
Quite possibly, yeah. Yeah.
You know, he'd have probably had a fight with Joyce is the name. Yeah, sorry, Joyce was the name I was thinking of. He would have probably have had a fight with Joyce, and then that would have been the number one spot. Because that's what Joyce is now. When this fight's over, Joyce is number one.
Yeah, and that's a testament again to Frank Warren, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
You know. So, see, the thing about this channel is we do give credit where it's due. We have gave Frank Warren an hard time.
Yeah, we have. We got loads of stick.
You know, about the shows and the content on the shows, but you know, we're very transparent. At least we admit, you know, he's done a job with Joyce, hasn't he? You know, to get him where he is.
Yeah, when you consider that a couple of fights ago he was fighting at British level.
Yeah.
I mean, I've said it about Joyce myself, Hunter. I've questioned whether he's good enough for that level. He's good enough for world level, and we'll find out when he because he will step up to that level now. I've no doubt. He'll probably have to take one or two fights before he gets a shot at Joshua.
Yeah.
Because he'll have to wait in line, and that the merry-go-round and mandatories all mean it'll be what, a year, 2 years maybe before.
I think when Usyk loses, I think Joyce will pick him up. I think he'll be his next fight.
You do?
Yeah, I do. And I think Joyce. I think Joyce will fight Usyk because it's a great stepping stone fight. Usyk's not a stepping stone fight. I don't mean it like that, but if Joyce has got aspirations of world title level, and Usyk just been beat by Joshua, it's a good measuring stick, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it'll help Usyk as well because Joyce is highly ranked in that governing body. So if he was to turn Joyce over, you know, it's back in the mix into.
Yeah.
So I think that makes sense. To be honest.
Yeah.
And,
I'm just not sure. I'm not sure where White's career goes at the minute.
No.
Sad to say, mate, because he deserves much more than he's got. He deserves much more than he's got. He's been in there against some proper operators and dealt with them.
Yeah.
I just I struggle to see, and like you said, this Wallin's he's no pushover.
He's a unit.
Yes.
You know, if you watch the Fury fight,
I mean, let's have it right. We're talking about a Fury that was well out of shape. He wasn't anywhere near what he is right now.
No.
But even so, that being said, this is no gimme fight for White.
No, and the thing is, it's Wallin's golden ticket, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, it's a golden ticket. So, yeah, it'll be very, very interesting.
Yeah, I just worry about, again, touching on it again, I just worry about White's motivation. Because you can see it's happened a few times when he's gone in against fighters that he should have demolished, and he's not looked very good. You know, he's come in a bit heavy. And quite clearly, he's not put it in camp because of that motivation factor. That's how it looks from the outside anyway. You know, I don't want to do him a disservice, but that's maybe for me, that's the way it looks from the outside. He's not left it all in the gym, and he's not in his best shape, and he's not sharp. He's kind of struggling a little bit around the ring, and yeah, there's been a few fights that he should have dealt with a lot easier than he did. But then when he's on it, when he's actually on it, when he's properly fit, he was ready for the Povetkin second fight because he had something to prove.
Well, it was career defining, wasn't it? If he lost that fight, he was in deep trouble.
Yeah. I mean, let's have it right. He was winning the first fight, all ends up. You know, he made one mistake, but against that level of fighter, that's all it takes. So for him to actually take that straight away again, and be on it the way he was on it, is real testament to him.
But I just don't see where the advantage is with Wallin because, okay, he goes in and blasts Wallin out in 2 or 3 rounds. So what?
Yeah. Well, he doesn't get him anywhere any closer to a world title shot, does it?
No. But if he goes in and gets done again,
or doesn't look great,
there's question marks again.
Yeah, it's tough for him. It really is. It really is, mate. You know, with a lot of fighters, you can say, well, you can see where they're going. You can say, well, all he's got to do is this, and then he'll get this. White's done that, but he hasn't got this. I would have threw
him in stateside somewhere against an American, against a Charles Martin over in the States because he keeps talking about raising his profile in the States.
Yeah.
Well, this ain't going to do no for him in the States.
Or a
Hunter. Something like that. You know, I'd have threw him in on one of the American DAZN cards. They would have got an entertaining fight in North America. Because obviously we're well aware, and there's grumblings over in North America about DAZN that they're having to watch a lot of fight cards, like we said before, in the middle of the afternoon in the UK. And you know, there is rumours that DAZN are coming away from the American market because they're just not getting no traction. So that's quite interesting as well. And I've said that before, and I haven't I, regarding time zones and what time these fights starting. So I can't believe for 1 minute DAZN haven't got the American fight market as a priority because it's possibly the biggest in the world. Yeah, I'd say potentially the biggest in the world, isn't it, for subscriptions? But it's definitely.
I get the feeling, mate, that they didn't like the way Matchroom went in there, trying to bully the way into the market, and Eddie's kind of brash style. It didn't go down very well, and I feel a little bit like the American promoters kind of shut shop on him a little bit. Didn't make the fights with him. Didn't want to deal with him.
It does make me smile a bit though, because when did America become so timid? Isn't it the land of, the razzmatazz? Remember in the 90s with Tyson and all the showbiz and
70s. It was the mecca of boxing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was where you had to go to prove yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just an interesting standpoint for if that is the case. It's interesting how they've done a U-turn, because Don King, for example, he was larger than life one time.
Yep.
So, and Bob Arum, he's got a lot of charisma, so it surprises me.
I just don't think they like the way he's come into and kind of tried to take over. I think they maybe saw it as a little bit disrespectful. Yeah, I mean, you don't know what goes off behind closed doors, mate.
No.
The old debacle with the Fury Joshua fight kind of rings a lot of alarm bells for me. He put himself right out there, Eddie, saying this was made and that was made and the other was made.
And it was quite interesting. Andy, it was quite interesting. Rick when Rick gave us that breakdown regarding AJ and what was and what wasn't done. Again, if you didn't see that, it's on the playlist. Because he goes into some detail, don't you, about what the safeguards that should have been there before Ruiz was announced and Baby Miller dropped out and what very, very interesting. So anything else, Andy, before we bring it to a close? We've come up to 58 minutes. Do you want to just touch on David A quickly and his outrageous announcements about Tyson Fury? Do you want to talk about Holyfield, the debacle, what was?
You know what? The old show was a debacle, mate, and it should never happen again. It was an absolute disgrace. Disgrace to boxing. And what is David A thinking? He has no more than a spar with one of his close mates, and all of a sudden he can take the best fighter on in the world.
That right hand was there all night for David, and he never threw it.
Well, he's not going to knock his best mate out, is it?
No.
The old Triller thing, mate. It annoys me. It annoys me. We went to a show in Leicester with true passion, real boxing fans and real fighters and real management and real promoters running around like headless chickens trying to put a show on, not making millions, but it was from the heart, real proper boxing. And then you get that shit that you got two retired MMA fighters in a boxing match. You got
Donald Trump in the commentary box.
And Holyfield, I just don't get it. Why ruin your legacy? Why put yourself in a position like that? He'd had clearly, mate. He wasn't ready for that fight. Clearly, he'd done no training.
No.
He was at the last minute. He hasn't been near a ring for I don't know how many years.
No, a little bit insulting, one second.
2011. I think his last outing in one of these bag of shit fights, and that's all it is. Let's have it right. But it should never happen again.
Well, I'm hoping it was a nail in the coffin, to be honest, because I mean, not that I paid for it or watched it anyway, but you can't tell me people are going to keep wanting to pay for that.
You know what? You know what really annoys me more than anything else? If they want to go and do this and truly want to put it on, and they want to put it on, but they want to call it an exhibition, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
With the right safeguards, because quite clearly, Holyfield should have been nowhere near that fight.
No.
But what annoyed me more than anything else, mate, was it was sanctioned as a professional fight.
Yeah, ridiculous.
It was a I think it was, I might be wrong here, but I think it was the Florida Commission that sanctioned the fight. The California Commission wanted nothing to do with it. They wouldn't give Holyfield the license for the fight.
Yeah.
So they had to take it elsewhere. So the Florida Commission, I believe it was the Florida Commission. If I'm wrong, I apologise. But I believe it was the Florida Commission that sanctioned a 56-year-old legend. Clearly wasn't fair. He was just thrown to the wolves against an MMA fighter that had no business being in the same ring as him.
No. So like I said, to bring it to a close, I hope that's a nail in the coffin.
Well,
I don't really understand who the fans are that are paying. I don't know how much it was in America. I don't know how much it was in the UK, but I'm sure it is 20 quid or whatever.
well, they can't be boxing fans, mate. They can't be boxing fans.
Save your money. Wait for a pay-per-view like AJ and watch some proper boxing.
And just to finish off, David A, behave yourself, mate.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure about that one, you know, because it can't be for money, I know. Surely not. You know, he earned some good person in his day, but not for me. Anyway,
Well,
not for me.
I just think Tony Bellew must have hit him a lot harder than we realised.
And if Tony Bellew can do that to you, what's Tyson Fury going to do?
Well,
so, on that high note, that's it from us guys for another week. Okay, so same time, same place next week, next Thursday. There is some interviews due to drop on the channel. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, like, comment, subscribe. The link will be below the video. Over and out, and thank you very much. Much appreciated.
See you later.
We will see you next week. Adios.